If you follow me across the multiple social media platforms that I'm involved in, particularly in Twitter, you know that I feel pretty strongly about the social experiment that is the Meerkat Millionaires Country Club. I am a huge fan of this project and what they're trying to do. At the core end of the day, what they're trying to do is deploy a project and then empower every single holder to do with the project what they want to do with the project. It's kind of a fascinating idea. That's why 100% of all of the royalties, all of the secondary royalties, are returned back to every single holder so that they can choose whether or not they want to reinvest in the project, grow the project, or take their money and put it somewhere else if that's what they want to do. It's a fascinating idea. When the Meerkats launched, we saw their prices erupt. The floor went all the way up to above 40 Sol. At the time that they launched, we saw a humongous influx of Ethereum capital barrel into the Meerkats, and then came all of the securities FUD that ended up drawing the prices way back down. We've seen the prices for the Meerkats withdraw quite substantially. Really, at the end of the day, though, they did a fantastic job creating and producing a rebuttal to all of the key points about whether or not they actually passed the Howey test or not. They gave a very strong argument as to why they don't pass the Howey test, and time will tell, I guess, is where we're kind of at this point. At the end of the day, though, for this project to continue to grow, what now has to happen is the individual members, every single person who is a holder, they have to choose whether or not they want the project to grow and put forth the effort to make that happen. The thing that's actually happening right now with the Meerkat Millionaires Country Club is just that. You may not see it because so much work is being done behind the scenes to establish the ClubDAO. The ClubDAO is going to be what governs and runs the Meerkat Millionaires Country Club moving forward. So today, I am sitting down with members of the ClubDAO to talk about what is going on with the Meerkat Millionaires Country Club, what progress have they made, and where do they want this project to grow and move to. I am particularly excited about this because I really love the Meerkat Millionaires Country Club. I love their ethos, their spirit, and what they're all about, and I'm really excited to talk to this group of people to learn more about where this project is going to grow. And I feel very, very bullish about it. At the end of the day, though, I have to say, the disclaimer, nothing here in this video is financial advice. You should always do your own research and do what's best for you in your situation. I am not a financial professional. I'm just some guy off the streets having a conversation with my friends about things that I am passionate about. So without further ado, let's talk to some of the members of the ClubDAO and see what's been going on with the Meerkat Millionaires Country Club. All right, so I am joined with ClubDAO members from the Meerkat Millionaires Country Club, and I am so excited to talk to y'all. Thank you for taking time out of your day to do this. Immediately, the thing that catches my attention is the fact that you're doxxed. And we talked about this just for a brief second before we got started, and there was a sentiment that I heard from all three of you, Ben, Leroy, and Space Kitty, as you prefer to be called. And that was that you're proud of what's happening right now. So give us just really quickly, let's start with Ben, then Leroy, then Space Kitty. Tell me a little bit about what attracted you to the Meerkats and why are you here as a ClubDAO member today?
So what attracted me initially to the Meerkats was the idea of the DeFi aspects within NFT communities. I was able to get into pre-mint and everything, and I was able to see the entire process of how it was built and everything, and talk to the developers on what they wanted to do. Through this, DAOs have become like a really fun word that like most projects are trying to implement. But in reality, like these kind of DAOs are kind of like a dime a dozen. Most of them are just generally community wallets built by the devs that they can kind of go to funds. When I was talking to like our various developers like Neptune or Timon, and they were talking about doing the decentralized autonomous organization and how they want to do it community built and community funded, I started looking into the various aspects of DAOs and kind of like the ethos, what they are and stuff like that. I think DAOs are becoming kind of a revolution in the world creating these organizations that don't have the kind of hierarchy aspect or have middlemen that you have to interact with in order to make these kind of decisions are the next step in our evolution as a world. There's some interesting stuff going on in the world, especially with the World Economic Forum. They recently, I think it was probably like a little over a year ago, they did a vote that made it so big companies, these are like the Googles, the Facebooks and everything, actually decided to, for the first time in 70 to 80 years, change the idea of the way we do capitalism. We've done capitalism in the sense of shareholder capitalism, where it's all profit loss, it's all stuff like that. But now, like, we're getting to the point where our communities and our culture are evolving faster than kind of like the nation states and our governments are allowing us to. And so these kind of organizations, kind of like the evolution from like monarchies and democracies and stuff like that, this is like taking the kind of litigation from trying to get people to organize and do things and like going through like kind of like government structures. Since we're actually like passing these nation states, I got involved into things because these traditional hierarchy like structures that you have and everything with managers and everything, a lot of these people, like I'm finding out MMCC are brilliant people that need a creative outlook and are struggling to get that creative outlook, because in these traditional business structures, you start at the bottom and like you don't really have an outlook and like to make any decisions on your own. And so blockchain is creating a beautiful product that it's succeeding because of its open source nature and low barriers to entry for people to do kind of anything they want. And so through kind of research into DAOs and seeing that these is probably going to be our next progression in the way we evolve our culture into pushing money into things that we believe as the people that are important, as opposed to our representatives that we voted to pushing that money towards.
Okay.
So just in that sense, by doing a community-funded, community-built, decentral autonomous organization that we are doing in the Meerkats, I truly think we are doing a groundbreaking thing that most people haven't actually done before. And it's building these relationships inside this community that are going to be kind of ride or die relationships. We're working together on a daily basis, and just that idea is making it so the people involved in Meerkats aren't going to be bailing when it comes to these low prices and everything, and the stuff that are dropping in when it comes to our floor. These bonds and stuff that we are creating are going to be things that I believe are going to be bonds that we're going to have for the rest of our lives. Mm-hmm. And I'm a pure believer that within the NFT communities and with all like the different derivatives and kind of where the projects are going, community is going to be everything when it comes to longevity and success of these projects. And because we're doing this community-funded, community-designed DAO, we are going to be at the forefront of creating a community that people are going to want to be involved in and are not going to want to leave.
I agree with you. I think it's kind of a fascinating social experiment, and the ethos and model of it is, we're going to circle back to this because I think that's a big talking point. Let's hear from you, Leroy.
Yeah, I share a lot of Ben's perspective. You know, for me, I didn't get in on the mint. I got in when the floor was at 20. And I grabbed a couple of pieces, you know, when the floor dropped down to around 10. So I came in from a much different perspective. But I also, you know, saw opportunities with the internet in the early 1990s and created a software company at that time to take advantage of the technology that was evolving. I see the same thing with crypto. I was late to Bitcoin, but I got in 2017. And now, you know, with DAOs, I see this, to Ben's point, as the next evolution, and really where it's a fully democratized environment. And you know, we have meetings on a regular basis, and I find myself still with a hierarchical sense of trying to provide direction and guidance and leadership, and that's not right. You know, because this is you know, governed by the people, for the people, you know, and we are a community, and trying to build that community is really what motivates me to participate on a daily basis. You know, and to see that people share the same values, and that we are collectively working towards something great is my motivation. In that effort, we're going to see people want to become a part of our community for what we represent as a community, the values that we stand for, how we interact with one another, the projects that we invest our time and resources in, and what we collectively achieve. And that will make people want to own a Meerkat, to have a part of that. And that will drive up the floor price, to get back to your earlier question around the floor. I don't pay attention to the floor, to be honest with you. We've got to build a community that makes the Meerkat valuable. And that's what we're trying to do. And everybody that wants to buy a Meerkat and take advantage of the low floor price right now, we encourage them to do it. And then come and be a member of ClubDAO and help us build something great.
But none of this is financial advice. We got to stress that.
I'm not a financial advisor. Yeah, I am not a financial advisor. And nothing that I say can and should be taken as financial advice. But the point is that we want people to grow with us. And our goal is to be one of the first fully functioning DAOs on Solana. And long term, I think we all probably share the goal. Is we want to be the DAO of the DAOs, the DAO that everyone looks up to. And we can take pride as a community knowing that our effort built that organization, and that organization, the value of it is shared by all those who hold a Meerkat.
Yep. Like similar to you, I got in to Meerkats actually at the very top. I think I paid $150 for my gold, $100 for my robot. This guy right here, one of like 3 NFTs that I own that I absolutely will never ever sell under any circumstance. I think I paid like $35 for this guy, totally common. And I just feel very, very strongly and attached to the artwork. I've been very outspoken about the artwork, and honestly, even buying them at the top, I still feel like I got to steal because I know where this is going, but our audience doesn't. So we're going to move on to Space Kitty next, and then we'll start talking about where this is going.
Okay, yeah, sure. I'll be glad to do that. So the way I got into the Meerkats, actually my perspective is a bit different, right? So it's how I ended up in marketing, awfully, fairly social. So I was running around the community, and all of my friends had one, basically. They all had cats, and I was like, what is a Meerkat? What is any of this? Like, because I was in other blockchains at the time, messing with other NFTs, and so they all had one. And so the very first thing what's unique about my experience is the first thing that I saw wasn't how much did they cost or where are they going or what may be to gain from having this Meerkat. It was the social side. All of my friends had one. They wanted me to have one because it was a community already before the DAO even existed, before this DAO idea existed. There was already this very, very, very strong presence and influential presence at that of community. And I thought, I've got to be in that. I want to be in that. All my friends are in that. And so that's what got me involved into it. And the more I got into it, the more I realized that there was just so many people who were so passionate to actually stay in that. It didn't matter if the floor dropped to 0, if it went to 500, nobody was going to sell their cat because their cat was basically a ticket in the friendship circle. You don't sell part of your friendship circle. So it's kind of like your identifier. It was something that we all shared, a common ground we were able to find through digital aspects, and through NFTs, whereas people usually held just multitudes of different things. The common ground that we found was that we all had Meerkats, right? And so we started labeling rooms and different things as, hey, this is where all the Meerkats are hanging out, right? This is before the DAO. And so the community aspect was already there. So when I heard about the DAO, I was like, oh, well, this is going to be great, especially, being how the Meerkats were already just so decentralized anyway. And so it's like, okay, well, that's going to be quite interesting. I want to go see what that's about. So I got to researching, about what was going on with that. And I saw, that it was going to stay that way. It was going to stay that way. There's not going to be any hierarchy system right now. We do have things going on for infrastructure. We've got to have people guiding specific projects. But it's not people. When I say people, I mean literally people, like more than one person, right? There's not really a hierarchy system or anything of that nature. So that was what I really liked about it, was that sense of community stayed, the sense of equalism stayed, in the sense of these are our friends. This is like a family almost, in a digital way, an online way, especially in a situation such as we have right now with the world going on. It was a really great way to still come together as one unity in the world, with people in the space, which is very difficult to do anyway. But it was being done before I even touched it. And so for me, that was my inspiration and encouragement. I wouldn't sell my Meerkats if you offered me $5,000. I'm not going to do. If you offered me $100,000, I wouldn't sell my Meerkats. Those are my cats. They're like part of my identity now. It's a part of who I am and what I'm doing. That's how I became to this space, and what I've seen coming into the space prior to even the DAO existing.
So 3 different people, 3 doxed people on the screen, all from different walks of life, different experiences, all with a unique perspective as to what the DAO means to them and where it's going to go. Also gives me a vote of confidence that you all seem very intelligent, very experienced, and just as someone who, technically everyone who is a Meerkat is a DAO member, because that's the ethos of the country club at the end of the day, which is kind of an interesting thing. But at the same time, it appears to be that there are a set group of people who are taking their experiences and putting that into action. For instance, I know that there is a kind of a governance team or a governance committee. There is a marketing team or a marketing committee. Kind of take me through that for a second about what the different teams are doing in ClubDAO today, or what your role within it is.
Yeah, I'll kind of start there and then transition to Ben and Space Kitty. From when the conversations were initially starting, we were having a hard time trying to organize. Just a bunch of people on Discord, talking back and forth, and hey, we need to do this, we need to do this, and so we needed to have some structure in place. So we started to form some teams around some people that raised their hand and said, hey, I'll try to organize, a team around this. I raised my hand and said, hey, I would love to tackle governance. And Ben raised his hand and said, hey, I'd love to tackle Treasury. And then there were a few folks that raised their hand and said, hey, we'll tackle marketing. And that's in Space Kitty ended up on the marketing team. And so, through that, we were able to bring people together, and we've seen those teams grow every single week. And so what we're trying to do with each of those is put a process in place, at least from a governance perspective, that allows the community to weigh in on what we're doing. And the process that we're trying to put in place is such that marketing will work within the marketing team to come up with ideas. And then once they have a firm grasp on what they would like to do from a marketing perspective, they're rolling those up as proposals, and that's coming into governance. And then we'll put that out to a whole discussion to the entire community and allow question and answers, pros and cons, and then ultimately bring it to a vote. And then when the community votes on that, then we're starting to move things forward. And we're really early right now. We're 2 weeks into this governance process, but we're seeing things start to take shape. We're making some decisions that are shaping what the DAO will look like, and it's truly community driven. Yes, there are some people that have raised their hands and have said, hey, we'll lead these functions, but it's really just a function to get the individuals within the DAO to organize under a structure and to take a line from LeBron James when he said taking his talents to South Beach. It's taking their talents to the respective teams in which they want to participate. And we have some developers that are wanting to work in marketing, and we have some marketing folks that want to work on the tech team. And that's a beautiful thing, because that allows individuals that participate in the DAO to grow their skills and experience, and learn new skills and experience, and develop and have new experiences. So it's been a beautiful thing. And Ben, I don't know if you want to talk about your area.
Yeah, I think kind of like touching base on what I said earlier, on the sense that decentralized autonomous organizations kind of eliminate the barriers to entry and for people to do things. That's kind of what happens with these teams. We got ideas kind of like on paper back and forth, and we're discussing proposals, counter proposals, and things like that. But at one point when we started breaking out teams, we started realizing that, sorry about that. we started realizing that like it's exactly what Knox like suggested earlier. Like all three of us have different opinions, and we all have the different background on how like we came to MMCC. The fact that we can get, I think last time I checked, there were like 4,500 holders of Meerkats. Each one of those holders of the Meerkats come from different aspects of life, and we've found that out because we keep running into these problems where we'll be like, all right, well, we need to talk to legal, and then all of a sudden someone will pop in and be like, I'm actually a lawyer. And so by having these low barriers to entry and allowing anybody to have an impact in these organizations, we're making it so like we can progress through these things so fast. And I think that's like what I'm having a hard time with Treasury is Treasury has to work with the tools that people on Solana and the developers have presented us. Solana, we're still really, really early in Solana, and they're still making these lot of tools when it comes to like multi-sig wallet solutions or just governance things. And basically through these things, we sorry, I kind of lost my track right there.
Dealing with the tech that we have at our hands.
Oh yeah, dealing with the tech that we have and stuff like that. That's kind of like the barriers of like that we're having trouble with Treasury in the sense that we're trying to find all these solutions, and we have all these people in marketing coming at us with these brilliant ideas. Like I love our marketing side because they're like the go-getters, the people that will go out there and talk to the other like people, talk to the other projects, and get us going and create this like ecosystem that we're trying to build in MMCC. So my big task is trying to organize everything that's thrown at me in a sense that we can still do it in a decentralized manner, but we don't have the tools to do that yet. So we have to find these kind of unique and creative ideas and ways that we can solve these problems. So as Solana evolves, like Meerkats are going to evolve with it, and we want to implement ourselves as an NFT in the Solana universe that's going to last and going to be one that people can look on for advice and for kind of instruction on how they can make their new NFT project succeed.
I know Squads is only like a week old at this point, right? And it's the first real DAO governance solution on Solana at this point. I think only 3 or 4 DAOs have launched on it. Thugs, Jungle, Monkeys. I can't remember. There might be a fourth. I mean, that just highlights just how much in our infancy in DAO structure and the actual technical abilities that we, as just Solana holders, have at our fingertips right now. Sometimes our ambitions are a little bit ahead of the tools that are available to us, but it's fascinating that you have this already in mind, the way that you want to do it, and maintaining a decentralized way of handling it. Now, moving to Space Kitty, because I know you're in marketing, because I've been involved in marketing a little bit. To me, tell me if you feel this way. To me, the marketing aspect is actually twofold. First of all, it's creating a brand and brand awareness, but also creating utility for the brand through products or sales that funds the actual community wallet, the Treasury. So, and it all has to be done according to governance structure, right? That's where all three of you come together. You really start to see marketing as the glue that binds it.
Yeah, right. So yeah, that's definitely a very true statement in that, we do have to go through all the proper channels, all of the people, because everybody in the DAO is the same, right? We may have different faces being here on a screen, but in reality, everybody in the DAO is all the same. So we do have to take it through those channels to get, the votes, to get that together. So some of the complications of marketing you have mentioned is that there are so many different facets of marketing. So you've got everything from, for example, marketing blew up really quickly as a department. Because a lot of people, they came in, they said, well, I want to help, and which is a great, great sign. I want to help tell everybody about the Meerkats. That's what I want to do. So I want to be in marketing. That was great. It did blow up the department rather quickly, so we had some things, to straighten out there, to organize, mostly just organization. So we had to do that a bit sooner than we thought, but that's okay. It's going great. But the things that we're doing to kind of to handle those situations, to handle what's happening, and how the marketing team is actually contributing to the DAO. So obviously marketing is in charge of one, branding. So, there's some votes going on with the Meerkats for logos, different things, so that we can get that set in stone as to exactly what is this branding going to look like, be it and that's important for product, for websites, for basically anything that you're going to see it on. So we need that to be taken care of. So that's in the process. We're getting that branding settled down. But also things that we're doing, we're building structure. We're dividing out all these multifaceted talents that we have available to us. So we've got people who make video, audio, flyers, who want to go around talking about products, who want to help associate, running different social medias for us. There's people in all different kinds of ways who want to help. Even just in the background, organization, calendars, making sure we're making meetings, because we already are starting to work with collaborations, from very big collaborations at that, quite a lot. So we've been taking on that because, that will fund the Treasury, that will fund the DAO, and so forth. So we've been working on a lot of big collaborations. So it's been a lot to do. It's probably the biggest department, if I'm not mistaken. I do believe so, right, Leroy? So it's been quite a lot to do. But what I've seen from the community, something else that's very positive that I really like, is that everybody's just so dedicated to doing it. The people who are there and showing up right now, which increases every day, are spending so many hours a day to do this and make sure it's done properly and together. It's not individualized at all. It's something we all are very much in communication with constantly to get built in the right way. And to make sure that we're presenting ourselves in that way. It's a big part of marketing's job to make sure, our face, because it's basically the face, is presenting the look that represents what all Meerkats want to be represented as, and include that social aspect to that, keep that hype there, keep that love there, and that family aspect too, while also, navigating these collaborations and such. So that's what we've been doing with marketing. It's been going great. Got a lot to do still, a lot yet to come. But definitely a lot of progress for being so new.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the amount of hours that I've seen you guys pile into this, I mean, my DMs are blown up because of the chat that's going back and forth between the marketing team is amazing. I mean, it's staggering. It's impossible for me to keep up with because, again, everything is moving so fast, especially for an organization that's only in its second week. It also helps that the entire DAO, really, but especially the teams, are international. So first of all, people can work on it effectively 24 hours a day because somebody goes to bed, somebody else picks it up. And the second thing is everybody comes from like truly different walks of life, even different governments, and the way you grew up doing things is different. So now we get to kind of pick and choose and combine all the best aspects and build it the way we want to, which is a kind of fascinating thing. So what I'm interested in is what is happening right now. What is something specific that you're working on? Let's go in the opposite direction. Let's go Space Kitty first.
Of course, of course. So what specifically are we doing? So organization is such a big deal right now. People flooding in, you've got to find places for people where they want to be, though, because you can't assign people to places. It's not how we run things. It's not a way we plan to run things, because we don't run things, basically, is how that goes. So allowing them to choose and kind of saying, hey, these are the areas to which there's opportunities that could be filled, or what would you like to do? Where are your skill sets? That actually takes a lot of hands-on time. It's something I've been personally doing interviews with people for. And there's a lot of them. Hi, please tell me about your life. I'd like to get to know you. What can we do with you? So that's something really big that we've been doing, because it's very time consuming, but it's very important. It gives people a lot of sense of, hey, we care who you are and we care what you want to do. And we care, we care. And so I think that's a really beautiful thing that's different about the Meerkats. You don't really get that anywhere else that I've seen anyway. So that's something definitely that we've been working on that's very specific that we can release right now. Our collaborations are not really something we can speak at this very moment. I'm sure it's from marketing. I'm sure you're very aware of why that is. But we do have some announcements on our ClubDAO page. You're more than welcome to check that Twitter, check that out, see what's there. Those things are things we can announce in those proper channels. But, there are collaborations that are going on that are going to make the community very, very excited.
Mhm.
Things that we know because we took a vote, right? So we didn't choose them assuming they're going to work. We took a vote and they really liked them. So we're rather confident that the rest of the Meerkats are going to love them too. And hopefully they'll join the DAO and come, participate in those voting sessions. We do want everybody there. Everybody's voice matters, their talents matter. And we're just so excited because we have so many talented Meerkats. They do basically everything. Every time I talk to one, I'm like, I didn't even know that was a job you could do, but yet they could do it. So it's pretty amazing to be able to have that communication. So it's something specific we've been working very hard to do.
That's exciting. And then of course there was also the merch rollout, which was a little stumbly because of the actual manufacturer was like, wait, you want to do drop shipping? But nonetheless, it's like the actual experience with building the website. It felt like a luxury shopping experience. I thought the actual product itself with the embroidery was fantastic. And a big chunk of those proceeds, the majority of those proceeds, are going to fund the ClubDAO. And that was a marketing initiative that I thought was very successful for something that happened in a tiny amount of time. So, kudos.
Yeah, Fong did that. I want to give him recognition for that. That was in a Fong site that did that. He pulled those embroideries together. He's going to be the main site that we use. And although I think he's going to donate that site to the DAO later, possibly. We spoke about that. But what's great about that is that he did that on his own accord.
Mhm.
And so I think it's very, very worth noting because he made those initial investments himself because he just loves the community.
Mhm.
And so what we see across the board, that's just one tiny example of the people who are involved in the Meerkats. We all want to contribute in our own ways, in the ways that we can, just because we love the community.
Mhm.
And that's a really beautiful thing to see because that's the kind of community you want to be involved with. Like if it's going to pick a community, I want one that cared about me, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's worth noting, and also just saying, hey, thanks for doing that. We'll just say thank you for that because that was really cool, and thank you for liking the merchandise. I'm really glad that you shouted that out. That's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. It was a zero hesitation purchase for me. I bought 2 and paid with crypto, which was
Nice.
really, really nice. So, all right, Ben, what are you working on right now? What is a specific task, a problem that you're trying to tackle?
So me and my job is basically building kind of infrastructure. If we want to build this decentralized process and everything like that, we have to do it slowly with a lot of proposals from the ground up. And so it's kind of tricky because you have to frame things in a language that's going to be clear and understood, but it's not going to be confusing in a sense that you're giving too much information and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm mostly working on different kinds of income streams, like with Fong, or we have some other ideas of how we're going to do that. I can't give you some of the ideas that Treasury is doing because they are new ideas that no one else has been doing. And I think especially with it overlaps with the NFT space, but it also does what goes with DAOs, in the sense that DAOs are doing the same thing other DAOs and other projects are doing. Someone comes up with a good idea. We kind of saw it with the marketplaces. Someone decided to make a marketplace, and then after that, it seemed like every other project was going to implement their own marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
When you get these kind of good ideas, people want to copy them. But I think there's so much value in being unique in our approach and unique in what the things that we can do. I'll talk bad about other projects, but I will give them props. I don't own a DeGod, but what they did with their kind of Medium-esque blog thing, I thought it was brilliant. It was something that we haven't seen before, something that has a ton of utility, and it could bring a lot of income streams, not only to their members, but to their organization like that. And so that's what Treasury is trying to do. We're trying to find income streams that both solve problems in the NFT space, that it wouldn't be just an interaction with our own community. Other people would come and use our services as well, while also giving those kind of services for free to people who own Meerkats instead of having to pay for it from outside the community.
Yep. I think that's good. So you're actually, when you say infrastructure, you're not necessarily talking about building out IT infrastructure. You're talking about designing revenue streams.
So designing revenue streams and also finding the basic kind of organizational structure on giving proposals, how we vote on proposals, what we do with the funds. Because as Treasury team leads, we're going to have to do some budgeting. We have ideas when it comes to tokenomics and stuff like that, and other ways that we can implement more worth to our community.
Mm-hmm.
So it's building that infrastructure to make it a more streamlined process in the future, so we don't hinder our progress by going through the semantics and the language of something that we kind of put in the past.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Got it. That's fascinating. It's a lot of innovation that's happening in that department, which I think is interesting. Leroy, take me through what you're tackling with governance right now.
Well, governance is really the principle behind it was to take all of the voices from the community. When we were first getting organized, there were, to Ben's point, there were people raising their hands saying, "Hey, we have to create a marketplace right now. If we don't get it done tomorrow, we're going to miss an opportunity." And then there are other people saying, "Hey, we've got to, join this marketing collaboration. If we don't, we're going to miss an opportunity." And what I saw were a bunch of voices coming in saying, "Hey, we need to do this thing," and a bunch of really, really strong personalities and a bunch of really intelligent people with really good ideas. And it was a mechanism of how do we make sure that their voices are heard by the community, and the community can weigh in on those. Was really what I felt we needed as a governance process. So we had a few people raise their hands and say, "Yes, let's create a governance team and work on rolling out a process." And that process has evolved, like 6 times in 2 weeks. It kind of started with a draft of a proposed constitution and a process. With like, "Hey, we're going to have a week of discussion and then a week of voting, so it'll be 2 weeks before we move an initiative forward." Well, as you've seen, we're moving things forward on an hourly basis almost now. So it became a situation where, hey, we're going to open up a discussion on a topic, and then we'll open up a vote right behind it, and we'll allow the community to debate the pros and cons of this specific proposal and vote on it. And we've had things that came up where it was kind of cart before the horse. And it was like, "Hey, we're going to go do this thing." And everybody's like, "Wait, we haven't voted on it yet." So then we had a vote, and everybody said, "Wait, stop. We're going to full stop." And then we opened up a discussion channel. We had the discussion around the topic, put out a second vote on it, and it was overwhelmingly in support. Once the community understood what we were trying to do, then it was like, okay, yes, the community blessed it, and off it went. And so providing that structure is the role of governance. And then on top of that, there's issues and dynamics that come up. And, I want to give a shout out to Brantoshi. Brantoshi reached out to you initially to schedule this interview. And when he brought it forward to the community, he suggested the 3 of us and himself participate in this conversation with you. And there was part of those dynamics that occurred, caused Brantoshi to kind of step back for a little bit. And the community loves and support him. The amount of support that I've heard for him and his efforts over the last several days has been overwhelmingly positive. And as part of the issue that we run into running so fast with a bunch of really intelligent and really strong personalities is figuring out, how do we coexist? And that's really what we're trying to do from a governance perspective. And I think there's been a few of us that have kind of found ourselves in a little bit of a mentoring role as well, to try to help people resolve some of those differences so that we can thrive as a community. And as often said in the Discord, as a family, because we're all in this together, and we all want this to succeed. And the fact that everyone's putting in their time and effort in lieu of all of the things that they could be doing in the world and all of the activities that they can be participating in, people are dedicating hours of their time every single day to this community. Yeah. And we're seeing it globally. I'll give you an example. Last Friday, there was an impromptu call. And it wasn't scheduled, and I happened to get a DM, and so I jumped on there. That call went for 2.5 hours, and at one point, one of our members said, "Hey guys, it's 4 a.m. here. I have to sleep." So that's the kind of dedication that we have. We're working with a global community, and you said it earlier. And the fact that we've got this many people willing to dedicate that amount of time, there's nothing stopping us. What we are going to achieve, there's no limit to it. As long as we keep the community engaged, and as these tools become available on Solana, we're going to become more effective. And we're going to grow our treasury, and we're going to do things that haven't even been thought of yet. And they're going to be spectacular because there is so much talent that resides within this community.
Yeah, I from what I've seen on the inside, I couldn't agree with you more. The thing that a lot of people, the average investor, I feel like they log into Solana, They look at the floor and then they move on, or whatever. They buy or they don't. And what they don't realize is what is actually happening with the Meerkat Millionaires Country Club right now. This project is a multi-million-dollar project. There is IP value here, brand value, royalty value, hours upon hours upon hours of labor going into building right now. This is multi-million dollars worth of assets and human capital is being poured into this project right now in this instant. And this is not something that you can just grow in a week and flip it. It's just not. This is a major organization that is being built by the people right now, carefully but swiftly. I think that's the most impressive part. Is this is like an 18-wheeler truck. It is extraordinarily powerful. It is extraordinarily large. It takes a long time to put one together and build it. And then you have to start it and you have to make it move after that. And you guys have taken this 18-wheeler truck and gotten it to 60 miles an hour pretty quick. It's impressive. It really is. And yeah, I mean, it's still being built on the side of the road right now, but that's just what you have to do. So I guess, we're running a little short on time. I want to wrap up with one kind of final question and take as much time as you need to answer this question, because this is an important question. We talked about how we got here. We talked about the past. And we talked about what's happening today, but I want to know, what is your vision 3, 6, 12 months from now? Where do you see Meerkats? Where do you see ClubDAO? Let's go with Leroy.
From my perspective, as we look to the future, and I don't want to put any time horizon on this, but we are a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. So when you look at any commercial organization that exists right now, we're on a Google platform right now, so use Google as an example. Google's an organization, and Google creates products and services. There is nothing just that can stop us from creating products and services to fund our community wallet. The governance process that we have put in place will enable the community to bring forth ideas that can fund our treasury. And the processes that Ben and the Treasury team are putting in place will ensure the safeguard of those funds. And then through proposals and initiatives that we participate in, we'll be able to reward contributions that grow that treasury and grow that community. So there's nothing that can stop us. We're building an organization of the future, and we're going to be one of the first to do it. And there is nothing that is going to stop us.
I hear that, and I agree with you. I believe it. Ben, tell me what you think 3, 6, 12 months from now.
The way I see ClubDAO and MMC 3, 6, 12 months in the future is just a cemented role in the Solana NFT space. I would, as much as it is great to have these organizations as a route to gain like personal wealth between the people involved, I still think it also is a great example of we're going to be building something that I think other NFT projects are going to want to build in the future. And with the open source nature of blockchain, we shouldn't hide the way we were going to be able to do things. And so in 6 or 12 months, I fully expect the Meerkats to be in a kind of advisory role where people can come to us, ask for what we did, we can write things out, all our explanations, all the troubles we are doing, work with individual developers on creating solutions that solve things like our multi-sig. Like everybody's trying to figure out that solution now. But as these things evolve, because DAOs in my sense are kind of like, I almost look at them in like a biological way. The most efficient things in like nature, when it comes to like beehives, ants, or even like kind of like the human body, are these autonomous things that are doing all these things with one route and everything then towards like one common goal. And I think if people in the Solana NFT space want to support the Solana NFT space, then these projects have to work together on making it easier for the development of unique projects that are going to provide a huge benefit and more exposure to what we're trying to do over here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's an interesting take too, is how this DAO, your vision is with actually the Solana ecosystem in general. in growing that. Fascinating. Space Kitty, let's bring it home. Tell me what
Yeah,
you
no
see.
problem. Of course. So what I see, I definitely see. I've heard a lot too. I can't say a lot of specifics, but I do see, meerkats being something that's not just on merchandise, but possible in products. I do see that in the future. Don't know if it'll be 3, 6, or 12, or maybe 36. I'm not quite sure, but I do foresee that it will be something very predominant in the community. I think it'll be more accepted, as more people come into the space, as more people recognize what's happening with the community there. Of course, I'm in marketing, so it's the side I'm going to see. I do see a lot of growth coming for that in the future. So in the DAO, in the community, in the ownership of the cats, I do see a lot more association with the way we kind of identify with ours. I see that other people are going to be doing that as well. And I see a lot of collaborations that are going to really set the ground running for the Meerkat in itself to really give it that blue chip the kind of status. I foresee that for our Meerkats. I do see that in the future too. I think we're really going to do a lot of great things with that. I think we're going to see a lot more of the Meerkat. I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon. And I think that we're going to see a lot of great things from the Meerkats and the Meerkat community in the future.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with everything that you guys have just said, especially from my perspective on the inside. It's one thing to claim to be a DAO and to be decentralized, but it's another thing to actually mobilize human capital in the way that you have. It's another thing to actually put in the hours to build an organization. Most decentralized DAOs that I see today are not. Most of them are not actual builders. And the Meerkats are actual builders, and they're building something big. So I am very excited about this. I'm very bullish on the future of the Meerkats. I'm very bullish on the ClubDAO. And I can't thank you all enough for your time to come by and talk with me today. I can't wait to get more involved. Jump in the ClubDAO Discord. Hang out with these people. Share your ideas and your experiences. That's what this is all about. All right, thanks for stopping by, y'all. See you in the next one.
Thanks, Knox.